excited. I kind of expected to hear the same week as the week after the trial. So I had no idea that I was going to get the email from Scott yesterday, but it was such a pleasant surprise. And all I saw, I was at Starbucks when I got the email. I just looked down at my watch and I got an email that just the caption was, or the title was Victory. And I saw it from Scott. So I immediately knew. I was so excited. I texted my mom, I'm like, I don't know what we won, but we won. And that's all that mattered to me. I am hoping that I can kind of inspire anybody who's afraid to pursue or has been stonewalled from LSU like I have. I mean, it just goes to show that if you keep pushing and you keep pushing, like your voice will be heard eventually. I do hope to set some precedent going forward, potentially. Hopefully LSU will stop, trying to, like I said, stonewall and put all these obstacles in the way of victims that are just trying to get access to their own records, and hopefully make it easier for others in the future.
Have you heard anything from LSU since the trial?
I have not. The only thing I saw is anything that their PR people have put out, but I have not been directly in contact, and I don't think that I know of my lawyers have either.
This whole process, I mean, what was that like going through 5 months of this? Basically you were in the spotlight for a while there. Still are.
I've only been in the spotlight for a few of those months, which I think has actually kind of made it easier. At the beginning, it was kind of just me with the help of Nancy and Kenny, the reporters, but we weren't getting as far as we wanted. It wasn't really until they brought on their legal team, Scott, and really started to make some headway in this. But at the very beginning, I felt very alone and very like, I don't know what to do, but it's been a lot easier with the guidance that everybody has been able to provide me.
I feel like you have closure now for your situation?
No, this is just the beginning. There is still more to come, I believe. And especially not until this appeal process is over. Technically, I mean, anything can happen. I know Scott said he's confident. That makes me confident. Hopefully it'll stick. But even if it doesn't, I'm just happy that one judge thought, that LSU was in the wrong and that we were in the right. But yeah, no, we're not done. I'm not done. This is not a case closed yet.
What do you hope to see from the university moving forward? What changes do you want to see happen?
I think some personnel needs to be relieved of their duties, or at least some serious training and coaching on how to provide to their employees and athletes at more, better. And I just hope that this will stop happening, all the cover-ups, all of the runarounds, all of the obstacles. I just hope that they've been taught a lesson and won't keep doing that in the future. But until, I think there's still more justice to be served for many other women.
Anytime that we sue an individual, or I'm sorry, let me try that again. Anytime that we sue an entity like LSU, which is so pervasively known in the state, it sends a signal. It's seen by people around the state. LSU is our flagship university here in Louisiana. And when they've done something wrong, sometimes they get sued. And in this case, the judge found that LSU had done wrong by Ms. Brennan and by Mr. Jacoby, my two clients in this case. And look, they're going to appeal. LSU immediately appealed. But no matter what happens in that appeal, we have a ruling from a judge that says that LSU did wrong. And I would bet my bottom dollar that they're going to think twice before they do this again. LSU as an entity is going to think twice when this happens again, and it will happen again. Unfortunately, we know that it happens. And when a victim wants to see her records and there hasn't been any prosecution in multiple years, they're not going to be able to hide behind the statute of limitations anymore, which is what they were trying to do. And I think that until they were taken to court and shown that they couldn't do that, that they felt like they had to rely on the statute of limitations. So my hope is that we get a little bit more reasonableness from LSU in releasing these records in the future. But if we don't, we'll need brave people like Samantha and like Kenny Jacoby to take them to court again.
What would you say? I mean, Samantha is one of many women who have said something similar happened to them with LSU. What would you say to the women who feel like, it's hopeless because LSU has so many powerful people working for their university? And like you said, they had a very, a really good legal team. And they also have a lot of powerful people who support them. What would you say to the women who feel hopeless in this situation?
Well, I would tell them that love for a university or being a fan of the football team is not the same thing and not necessarily equivalent with doing the right thing. You see behind me, I've got this LSU Blue Dog back here. I love LSU. I have 3 degrees from LSU. My wife went there as well. But, being a fan of a team or promoting an academic institution does not mean that you can't call them out when they're wrong. And I think that we did that here. And I've never had any qualms about calling LSU out when it's wrong or telling them when they do right. And I think that other women who perhaps have received the same treatment will see Samantha's story and realize that they're not going up against the football team or the love that everyone has for the old war school or the purple and gold, but what's right and what's wrong. And I believe that there are people at LSU in the administration who feel the same way, that there's a difference between right and wrong. And the answer here that we got from the judge was right.
And do you feel, I don't know if this is technically in your jurisdiction of this case, but do y'all plan on going after any of the administrators who were involved in this? Or how, can you do anything about the administrators that were involved?
It's really not part of the case. I mean, I think that certainly the administrators felt like they had some reasons to deny the request. I think maybe that they'll change their behavior. I think Samantha touched earlier that she would really like for the administrators to be a little bit more sensitive to these issues in the future because she felt like she wasn't treated appropriately. We're not going to sue administrators for that kind of action, or at least I'm not at this time, and I don't believe we're going to in the future. But for me personally, I think that learning from the experience is important. And I think that LSU's administration will learn from this. And I think that, no matter what happens with the appeal, that there will be some changes at LSU. LSU took a suspensive appeal, so that means we don't get it until the appeal is decided. But the good news is, and as I said, the day of the trial, I stood out in front of the courthouse and I said, we already have the records. We do. We already have the records. We already know what's in the records because Samantha is the victim. And she told us what's in the records behind those redactions. But this wasn't just about records, it was about principle. And that's why I really commend my clients, Samantha and USA Today and Kenny Jacoby, for standing on principle because they felt like they were mistreated and that they were wronged in this process. They took LSU to court and they won. And no one can ever take that away from them.